Hey guys, it's that time of year when we reflect on how our year has gone. For some people, the year has been okay. For some, it might even have been great, but for most people, the year has been terrible. Whether it's that they are struggling financially with the UK economy and the global economy more generally, struggling, or they've had bereavement, or they are struggling in their relationships or in their health, there's so many things that have happened. And I'm not exempt from a lot of those challenges. This year alone, I've experienced bereavement, close family members, seeing family members go through various health challenges, as well as navigating the general state of the economy and thinking about how to think about the future. You might be thinking the same right now. So I thought I'd just make this video very candid, just to reflect on how should we start to think about a way to turn our lives around next year, given what we know today. If you're really enjoying today's video, I'd really appreciate it. If you do us just one favor, please hit the subscribe button. Every single person who subscribes to our channel really helps our channel to get seen and for our channel to keep growing and having even more impact. Okay? And if you're enjoying today's video as well, please hit the like button whilst you're there. Okay, so I've got 5 points really quick. I've written them on my phone just to share with you as I reflected, as I'm doing the same with Mary at this time of year as well. So the first way I would start to think about this time of year and how to proceed next year is the first tip I've got is to acknowledge that life is made of blessings on one hand and burdens on the other. I heard this explained this way, and it really resonated with me because a lot of the time, you might feel like, wow, things are starting to pick up, things are starting to look good, and all of a sudden you have a blow. You get dealt a blow, and you sink again. And I've come to accept the reality that it's like having a rail track. A rail track has, two parallel lines to it. Our lives run literally like that. At all times, we should accept that there will be blessings and there'll be burdens at all times. Sometimes you might have more blessings than burdens. Sometimes you might have more burdens than blessings, but expect them to happen the same. And I think this acceptance is very, very important. This acknowledgement and acceptance of it is very important because then it prepares our minds for the worst possible outcomes, as well as the best possible outcomes, as well as when our lives are just going okay. And okay, by the way, is an excellent outcome. So that's the very first tip. Acknowledge that life is made up of blessings and burdens, and just reflect on that. The second tip is to take stock of how your year went. So think back to this year, which feels to me like it's just flown. How did you start the year? Like, what were the things you wanted to achieve specifically? Did you write those down anywhere? So one thing I do around this time of year with Mary, in fact, we're preparing to go and meet our community right now for Christmas dinner. Some of you guys who watch our channel will be there today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in person at 1 o'clock. But one thing I do around this time of year is literally to ask myself, what went well this year and what didn't go so well this year and why? And actually think about it and write it down. So what went well? So for example, I make a list, and I'll turn this into a video for the first time ever. I've made this list since 2018 of 100 things that made my year. You can go and read them over at our blog at thehumblepenny.com. In fact, I'll link below and above to one of them, maybe one for last year for you to check out, or maybe even one for this year if I've published it by the time this video goes live. But go and have a think about that. And you might think, wow, Ken, how did you come up with 100 things that made your year, even with many challenges that you might have experienced this year? And the reason I do that is because whenever anything good happens, I take my phone out and I literally write it down in my notes app. And I start from 100 and I count down to 1 throughout the entire year. So every single one of us has something good happening at different intervals. Small things, really small things that happen. It might be like, for example, I got home the other day and my son was reading a book about entrepreneurship. And that for me brought me a lot of joy because I didn't have to encourage him to read it. He just took it from the shelf and started reading it himself. So I wrote it on my list. So you have the same similar small things that have brought you happiness and brought you joy and made your year feel good. Write those down. For the things that didn't go well, reflect on those and ask yourself, why did they not go well? Where did you stand in your own way? Where were you the person who stopped this idea from actually happening or stopped this project from actually proceeding? Just reflect on that and be honest about it. That's the second thing. And also write down how this year has made you feel as part of tip number 2. How has it made you feel if you had to describe it in your own words and emotions? Tip 3 is to then set 3, only 3, realistic goals for the next 12 weeks. Okay. Now this sounds very like a simple idea, but it's actually very effective and is backed up by a lot of work. If you've read books like the 12-week year, for example, and things like that, it's a brilliant methodology, and we really enjoy using it in our own personal lives as well as our own kind of business world and that kind of thing. So essentially ask yourself this time of year, what are only 3 things, make them realistic, that I want to achieve in the first 12 weeks of next year, and then pick one of those 3 things as what will be your focus for January, and that's it. Tip number 4 is to decide on who you want to spend time with and what spaces you want to be spending time in order to achieve those 3 goals you set yourself. One thing I know for sure, and I've said this many times on our channel, is that the people you hang around with really matter for helping you to achieve your goals, for helping you to not get in your own way, for helping you not to procrastinate, for helping you to actually fight your fear of failure and lack of belief, or your need for confidence boosting. So people, whether it's people you know of right now in your life or people you don't know about, which is why I said what communities really matter. So ask yourself at this time of year, what spaces do I want to spend time in so that I can be inspired, I can be motivated, I can see how other people are thinking about their lives and what moves they're making. I find personally, even with my progress in life so far, I find that the more I spend time with people of a similar mindset, the more I put myself out there to really spend time with people who I just listen. All I'm doing is just listening and observing and taking notes and thinking, what part of my life do I slot this in? Where do I apply this idea? The more I do that, the more I am challenged to do better and to aim better in my own life. Again, it's another reason why we do meetups and what have you, just to help people change that mindset. Because I think at the core of all the successes that you want to achieve in your life is a need for a shift in mindset. That shift away from scarcity, thinking that we're all fighting over one pie, and if someone takes a piece of the pie, then they've taken some of yours and there isn't enough money to go around. That scarcity focus, that shift towards this end where we're like focusing on an abundance, even with the many challenges in the economy, many challenges in the world, there is still opportunity with today's technology, with your skills and ability, your transferable skills. There are still ways that you can create value and achieve your goals, as well as have the life that you want. I know that for fact, because I've lived that life so far on my journey and continue to stay positive and look forward. That's number 4. And final tip for me is to say, tip 5 is to diarize the small things that bring joy into your life in your calendar first. Okay, so I know this might sound it might be a radical way for you to think about the way you proceed in a week. Typically in a week, we look at our Outlook or our Google calendars or whatever calendar you use, and you're putting in all these meetings and all these activities you want to happen. However, could I challenge you to actually start with the joy first, start with the things that you want to actually do. There's small activities, whether it's time, if you're a parent, whether it's time with your children. Like I'm taking my children, Mary and I's children, with our nephews, all our nephews together. I'm taking them all on Tuesday to gaming, to go to one of these places where you play like games and stuff with lots of different games, and they just chill out and they play pool and what have you. For me, that's my thing that will bring me joy this week, right? So that's already a priority in my diary. I've made the call, I've booked it, and so on. And the week, only yesterday, for this week just gone, the thing I had in there was to go and watch the Hunger Games. So Mary and I booked it. It's a little surprise. Did the school run, straight from the school run at 10 a.m. We're in the cinema, sat down, watched the Hunger Games. After that, went and had some lunch and went and picked our kids up from school, right? So for you, what is your one thing? And if it's one thing per week, put it in your diary. This way, imagine if you had one thing per week over 52 weeks, that's 52 things that brought you joy in a year. I think that will be a phenomenal way for you to start the next year to create the success that you want. Guys, I'd really love to hear from you in the comments. What part of today's video really resonated with you? I'd like to hear from you. And how has your year been? I'd like to actually hear from you in your own words. How has this year been for you? If it's been difficult, tell me. If it's been terrible, tell me. If it's been excellent, tell me. Jump in the comments and let us know. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please show some support and love for our channel. Other than that, take care, people. And as we say always, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. Bye for now.